Yo, heads, it's Milky Way here coming at you with another deck profile. Thanks to this motherfucker, who's not as broke as I am. Alright, so what have we got for today?
Okay, so today we have Pure Stars. So, I know that a lot of people have been teching in, Nightmare, Sky Strikers into Trickstars, but at the moment, I've been looking for a fun deck to play, and I found that, for people who like to play burn, people who like the old chain burn, Trickstars is a really fun alternative. So, I thought that I'd make a Pure Star build, and that I'd show it off.
Also, card destruction in this deck is degenerate.
Alright, so, let's go to the monsters. So, we begin with the bread and butter of the deck. Trikstar Candy. So, for those of you who don't know what it does, when it's normal summoned, you can add one Trikstar card from your deck to your hand, and each time your opponent activates a spell or trap card, inflict 200 damage to them for each immediately after it resolves. So what you do with this thing is, the very first thing that you're ever going to do with this card is you're going to search out Light Stage, which we'll get to in a second.
So basically what I'm going to do is when I get $3, I'm going to see him, I'll toss him $3. And he's already gave me like $10.
So the next card, the second most important card, is Trikstar Lycoris. So this card is what makes Trikstar scary. So essentially, after you've done your thing, and you've done your whole combo with Candina, you now have her out on field. She's pretty vulnerable there, so what you're going to do is you're going to activate Lycoris' effect from your hand. So activating Lycoris' effect from your hand will return Candina to your hand, and special summon the Lycoris in their place, but that's not what makes her dangerous. What makes her dangerous is every time a card is added to your opponent's hand, whether by drawing or by searching, it immediately burns them for 200 damage. That doesn't sound like a lot, but with what this deck does, they'll soon be racking out thousands and thousands of points of damage while drawing.
That's okay. No?
Also, if you don't know what Trickstars do by now, I'm very concerned.
Alright, next we have 3 copies of Trikstar Narcissus. So, she is the afterthought. Essentially, once Lycoris has done her thing and has burned your opponent, Narcissus comes out. She drops on board, and she stops your opponent from doing things from their hand and their graveyard. They'll burn if they do so. She's really nice. She just special summons if your opponent takes burn damage. It's an instant level 4. She's pretty nice to have. If you're running Utopia the Lightning, her plus Candina, pretty good lightning combo right now.
Double summon 200 IQ tech Omega Low. Don't run double summon in Trickstars.
Do not.
It's a trap.
Okay, so next, 3 Trikstar Lilybell. So, essentially, you run this because anytime it's added to your hand, except by drawing it, it immediately special summons itself. It can attack directly. It doesn't have a burn effect, but it can attack directly for 800, which is pretty decent.
Just stuff I'm passing you back
And if it battles and inflicts damage to your opponent, you can target one Trikstar monster in your graveyard and it adds it to your hand immediately. Pretty good if I do say so myself. Now, the real reason you run this though is because occasionally you're gonna get into the position where you have Lycoris already in your hand, so you no longer have to search it. So then you search this, special summon it, and you use it to make Bloom. And the reason we'll make Bloom will be explained a bit later when we get into extra deck. Next, we run 1 Trikstar Rodote. Now this one doesn't have a special summon clause, but there is a reason why we run it. So, it's an immediate special summon of a Link monster in your graveyard if you discard 1 Trikstar card. But it also burns your opponent if they banish cards. So, it's kind of a tech option, but it's kind of needed for Pure Stars because you don't really have anything else to stop them from banishing. In addition, it also burns them extra if you have both this and the Lycoris on board when you activate Reincarnation. You go from burning them for 24 to burning them for 48, which is sincerely scary.
Omega Low.
1 copy of Trikstar Mandrake. So this thing, if it's sent from the hand to the graveyard, it is immediately special summoned. So it works with Rodote.
And then can you also tag this out for Lycoris?
Yes, it can be tagged out for Lycoris, which is pretty decent. The reason why you want to use it is because if it's used for the Link summon of a Trikstar monster, you can target one monster that your opponent's Link monster points to and destroy it, which isn't really that bad.
Really?
And next, Trikstar Nightshade. So this baby is very excellent because essentially, Bloom, she comes back, Bloom into Bloom, Bloom into Bloom, Bloom into Bloom, Bloom plus Nightshade into Holy Angel. It's pretty decent, and we'll talk more about that later when we get into the combos.
Yes, there is a legitimate reason for sacking all blooms at once.
So I feel like at this point there are two directions we could go here. We can go talking about the spells and traps, or we can talk about the combos in the extra deck. At the moment we're going to spells and traps, but I'll give you a refresher on the combos right after. So, first, one copy of Trikstar Bouquet. So Trikstar Bouquet is a nice tech, because essentially, it's an instant buff. It allows you to just punch over things, really not that bad. 3 copies of Trikstar Light Stage. So what you do with this is you Candina. So these are interchangeable. If you draw into Light Stage, you use Light Stage to search a Candina. If you draw into Candina, you use Candina to search a Light Stage. And one thing that you need to remember is that neither one of Light Stage's effects are hard once per turns. So you can spam 3 Light Stage in a turn and get 3 searches. You can also target 3 different spells and traps and stop them from being activated. This is a nasty card.
It's a refresh effect like Gates.
Yep. So it stops them from activating spells and traps as well. So it's really good.
Yeah.
Card destruction. It's essentially another burn for Lycoris. That's all it is.
And Light Stage. Light Stage does burn as well.
Yeah, and Light Stage will also burn your opponent for 200 every time a Trikstar monster does it.
Yeah.
Monster Reborn, because what deck don't you run that in? 2 copies of Terraforming, because you need Candina or Light Stage. If you don't open with one of them, you've essentially worked.
Yeah. Well, I'm also gonna point this out. If you have the banished one, I can't remember which one that one is. Lycoris and a Light Stage on board with 1 reincarnation, it's OTK.
Basically. Alright, so, Dark Hole.
It's Dark Hole.
It's Dark Hole. You use it on your first turn or you don't use it at all. Soul Charge, because you have essentially no recovery here. Your only recovery comes from reincarnation and Rodode. That's it. If you don't have that, this is your bread and butter.
Also, you lose 10 points for that being a fucking common. Deal with it.
Call by the Grave. Because this is pure, in a world circulated by hand traps, you need it. Triple Pot of Desires, because the consistency in this deck is very low. You need these. Don't use all 3 in a turn, but you need to use at least
Never
one.
use more than 1, honestly.
Yeah.
The only reason why you're running 3 is just to draw into it.
Yes.
And to pray that you banish it.
Triple Trikstar Reincarnation. This card is what makes... Okay, so, real talk, I'm not running Joel and Lockbird yet. I will be in the future, but as of right now, I don't have it. But, essentially, this... Banish your opponent's hand, and if you do, they draw the same amount of cards they banished. You just lock a Joel, they no longer draw any cards. This couples with Lycoris and Rodode by dealing 200 damage for every card they draw, and 200 damage for every card they banish.
Yeah.
And that also comes with Light Stage, because Light Stage, every time they burn for 200, because it is an individual burn of 200 each time, they'll burn for another 200. So you will essentially burn them for 48 immediately.
That's 48 immediately per monster, keep in mind.
Yeah.
So each monster is burning for 24.
Yeah.
And then Light Stage is burning 24 for each monster.
Assuming that you banish 6.
Yeah, assuming that you banish 6, but...
Next, you run something to ensure your opponent has the correct amount of cards in your hand. Present card. Again, it does the exact same thing as Reincarnation, except with a discard. But, oh my gosh. Like, you present card them, they now have 5 cards, then you triple Reincarnation them, that's death. That's straight death. You can't stop that. If you're playing Trickstars and you open 1 present card, 3 of these, and 1 Lycoris, that's immediately game. They can't stop that.
Big if, but whatever.
Yeah. Alright. Finally, you run 2 Psalm Strikes. The reason you run 2 is because you are very squishy in this build. You do not have many things that can deal with getting hit, so you're bound to be taking some damage at some point. So you don't run too many, and that's why you also only run 1 Psalm Warning.
Yeah.
You don't even run Judgment because it's too costly to pay 4,000 life points.
Hey, look, there goes half my life points. Oh, look, I got hit. Oh,
Finally,
look, I'm
you
dead.
run 1 Torrential Tribute because it's a safety net.
I'd also like to point out, this man is a lot more organized during his profiles than I am during mine.
Right.
They're like, let him always do deck profiles now. Come on.
Alright, so
Oh my god, we hit 10 minutes ad revenue. JK lol, because fuck you too, YouTube.
moving on. Trikstar Blue. Now, a lot of people say don't run this. And normally I would say, yeah, they're right, don't run this. But in pure Trickstars, it's actually really good because when you link summon this thing, it immediately makes your opponent draw a card.
It's a gift of greed effect, basically.
Yeah, and if you make them draw a card, they then burn for 400. And because because the requirement is 1 level 2 or Trikstar monster.
Well, 200, 400 if you have late stage.
Yeah. You can go Bloom, into Bloom, into Bloom. That's a plus of 3. And then, because they've plus 3, if you have a reincarnation on field, they now draw into 8 cards if they had 5, 9 cards if they had 6, which means they're now burning, instead of 24 with light stage, they now burn for 36 with light stage.
Theoretically, if you can triple bloom on your first turn while still having a Lycris and a light stage on board and reincarnation, you're doing how much?
I think you're gaming them. And if not, they're very close.
Because 200 per. I'm gonna do math in my head while he goes on.
Alright, so, next we run 1 copy of Trikstar Holy Angel. I would run more. They're kind of hard to find. Actually, do I run more? Did I get another one? Yes, I did. Okay, hold on. I got new cards for this deck just today, you have to understand. So I run 2 copies of Trikstar Holy Angel. She's an extra burn. Every time a card is summoned to a zone she points to, extra 200 burn, and she also gains 200 attack for every time. Well, basically, she gains the same amount of damage your opponent takes by burn. 3 copies of Trikstar Black Catback. Now, the reason why. She is a very good burn, because people usually can't kill her. And if they do, not only does she make them lose attack, she also burns for every time a card she points to is destroyed. Pretty useful in a deck like this. And finally, 1 copy of Trikstar Bella Madonna. This thing is nasty. Essentially, she's not affected by other activated effects, and real talk, she burns for 200 damage for each Trikstar monster in your graveyard with a different name. So if everything goes to shit, you summon this and you burn them for as much as you possibly can. I've won games off her before.
Go. Oh, nice!
So,
that's pretty decent.
Basically, what you kind of want to see, and I'll kind of run through a perfect hand with you here, real fast. You're gonna want, like, a Candina, of course. You're gonna want to open with a reincarnation hand. You want a Candina, this. Like, essentially, if you have this, you've got your perfect hand.
And this is burning, so without light stage, this burns for 24 on a reincarnation, correct?
Except you are going to be getting light stage.
Yeah.
Essentially what you do is you'll be playing...
Well, yeah, you can do that, and you get all that.
What Candina will do is Candina will search light stage. What you do then is you play light stage, and light stage will add Trikstar Lilybell to your hand, and because it is added to your hand, it will immediately special summon itself. That's good, but we're not doing anything with that yet. You will reveal Lycris from your hand to swap it out for Candina. So now your Candina's back to hand, so you can do this all again next turn. Sounds pretty good, right? So next, this is already on board. So you're going to link away your Lilybell into Bloom. They're going to draw a card. They're going to do it again. They're going to draw a card. You're going to do it again. They're going to draw a card. Now, at this point, it's pretty safe to leave Bloom on the field.
I'm just going to say nothing here.
No!
And the next thing you do, you set down your reincarnation.
Fucking Christ,
No, I
hi.
don't want to do anything.
You sit down there, your reincarnation, and immediately you banish their 8 cards. They're going to draw 8 new cards, but they're out of hand of 8.
Actually, that'd be 9, because they're going next.
Oh, right, 9. So they're out of hand of 9.
So that's 36,
And they've
36.
They've just burned for 36.
Go.
So, hold on, 36 and 36, or 18, 18?
Now this
18,
is my
18.
turn.
Okay, 18, 18.
Yeah, they burn for 18 each off of both of these.
This goes there.
And theoretically, let's say you had more Trikstar reincarnates in hand.
Twice per turn, it cannot be
Yeah,
served at
and
battle.
of course now they have to kill Bloom before Lycris, because if they kill Bloom,
Yes, you have to attack it
if they
3
kill
times.
Lycris first, they'll burn again.
So now
Yeah.
I don't know what to do now.
It's a really nasty combo, and in addition, you now actually have Lilybell and a Bloom in your graveyard. So the next thing you can do is you can banish this out, add the Lilybell to your hand, special summon Lilybell in defense, and now you have a 2,000 defense monster.
Yeah.
Absolutely nasty.
And if you had Road on board, that is game.
Yeah. So you see, just like that, as easy as that, you end, and you immediately have a 36,000 lead. And that's only 3 cards. That's not accounting for the other 2 cards in your hand.
Yeah.
So that has been the deck spotlight on Pure Stars. So thank you for bearing with me through all of that. So as you can see, Pure Stars are nowhere near as good as
Sky Striker.
Trickstars, but it is a fun deck. I will be getting Yugioh and Lockbirds, and I will give you an update on that when it comes out. Maybe even show some gameplay. But until then,
Hey, I have a camera to do that, Lamau. Alright, so I think that's going to be all our deck profiles for today. If it isn't, then I'm going to put this video as the last one to upload. Either way, hope y'all enjoyed. I'm sorry if the audio isn't as good as I think it is, because again, I have these plugged in. So the mic is right here, which is why you can hear me so well if I do this. Ear rape warning.
do you guys want to go after?
A little bit late.
After?
And so yeah, thank you to Sam for featuring 2 of his decks, and also filming while I featured this fucking amazing deck.
I mean, they both got finished today. Figured, I might as well feature them.
Exactly, and I want content for my channel because I've been neglecting you guys. I'm sorry. But
Me and Brad are going to discuss trades because I want to see what he's got in this binder of his.
Lamau. Alright, before we go though, if you want to see more of me for whatever fucking reason, go to twitch.tv/It's Milky Way. Swear to fucking God, YouTube, if you community guideline strike me for this, I don't know. I just swear to God, if I get guideline striked, I'm gonna call that load of bullshit. Also, like, subscribe, all of that fun stuff. If you're new to the channel, leave a comment, tell me what you think of this deck, and I'll tell it Sam. And, yeah, hope y'all enjoyed. If you did, peace out.